Away. Coming into our live Impact News studio at this very moment, we've got our sports director, Nick Carboni, who we have been checking in periodically alongside Danielle Stein for the last several days regarding Panthers training camp. Feels good to be in the AC today, does it not?
Conditioning. So thanks for having me in.
Yeah, we're glad to have you and talk about what you saw transpire today. I know you said it feels good inside. I felt like there was a little bit of relief today. I know that's a really relative term.
Yesterday was better than today.
Really?
There was a little bit of a breeze up on that hill on Cedar Street today. Yesterday, it just seemed to absolutely be more of a constant presence. Today, it left us for a while. The only real relief we got was maybe after practice ended. We got some cloud cover, and now, of course, we've got some weather rolling in as well. So it sounds like it's going to get better, though. I think Brad said second hottest July in Charlotte history, and we felt every bit of that this week.
Yeah, definitely historical. You were telling us some of the precautions the team has been taking to try to stay safe. There's some sort of cooling trailer.
The cooling trailer is a great benefit for the players. Of course, the Panthers don't have an indoor facility, unfortunately. That is in progress and will be complete ahead of the 2027 season, they say. So for now, they've got to dip into that cooling trailer, but it is at least 20 degrees cooler than the outside temperature. It feels really, really good.
Yeah. We've had some great storylines that you've been bringing to us over the past couple of days. What can you tell us about, any one-on-ones that you're getting today? Anything interesting popping off from, the press conferences?
Yeah, excited about our one-on-one today. Danielle Stein caught up with rookie edge rusher Princely Umanmielen. First of all, great name, also great personality, and the Panthers hope that he can be great. He had a great couple of days of practice to start things off, beating left tackle Ike Ekwonu and getting to the quarterback, Bryce Young. And a lot of people on social media took that as, well, Ike Ekwonu, maybe he's taking a step back. But Umanmielen was one of the most ardent defenders of Ekwonu on social media, saying, no, it's basically I'm just that good. So he's got a great personality. He's shown a lot of potential, especially with his speed rush move to the quarterback. And speaking of quarterbacks, Princely Umanmielen is also defending Cam Newton on social media this week. So Danielle asked him all about that. He's a rookie here in Carolina. He's from Texas, but he knows all about Cam Newton, what he means to the fan base and the franchise. And he went to bat for Cam as well. So Danielle's going to have all of that today at 5:30. Of course, also here on WCNC Plus and the WCNC Charlotte YouTube page as well.
Now, you mentioned yesterday there was some chippiness out there. How are things looking today?
Yeah, no pads today, so I think that helps ease off of that a little bit. Like, once these guys are allowed to hit each other a little bit, for some of them it's game on. And I think I've mentioned this in prior segments, but, I've gone years at Panthers training camp without seeing anything like that. Maybe when another team comes in for joint practice, usually we'll get some of that. But it started day one of pads this year. Second-year linebacker Trevan Wallace gave running back Chuba Hubbard a good pop, and as soon as I saw that it was number 30 falling to the ground, Vanessa, I go, yeah, it's on, because Chuba has the mentality of he's not going to want to be put on his rear end, and he certainly didn't. And I don't know if there are any swings. Wallace kind of denied that, but Chuba definitely got into it with him, and the team came in to break it up. One thing I will say, though, is two things a coach doesn't want in that situation: injuries, obviously, and for it to disrupt practice. They regrouped very quickly after that and got into the rest of their team period of drills to end practice, which are very important. So I think with all that said, it was kind of a net positive. Like, here's a kid, second-year linebacker, who is part of a defense that was historically bad last year, and he's going to make you feel it if you're going to come near him. So I thought it was a net positive, and those guys are both good now. All's well that ends well.
Well, you just mentioned injuries, so I'm going to ask you, are we starting to see anything emerge? Is there anything notable to mention?
No, thankfully
on that front?
so far we haven't had, the big one. Somebody carted off. Find some wood to knock on. Here we go. But Derek Brown has been being eased back into training camp. Injured his meniscus in his knee last year, week 1 at New Orleans, didn't play the rest of the season. His presence was sorely missed on the field and in the locker room. Today he had just some general soreness that actually didn't have anything to do with his knee, so he kind of did some stuff off to the side, and I think that is going to kind of be the game plan for him as they get him ready, as Coach Dave Canales said, for week 1 at Jacksonville. So I still anticipate Brown to be part of things in the opening game. And there's a couple other guys like Adam Thielen. I think they were kind of managing today. I didn't see starting cornerback Mike Jackson practice. A lot of these veteran guys, especially when there's no pads on, and they played some intense football at practice yesterday with those pads on. Today's kind of a day to just take the foot off the gas a little bit, and we'll see what tomorrow brings, pads or not, see what Friday brings, pads or not. I would probably anticipate pads on Friday, because then Saturday is the Fan Fest practice, which they generally don't. Sometimes they do pads, though, so we'll have to see what the game plan is there.
Now, this is definitely a hard turn, but I know that you were there as head coach Dave Canales addressed this last night. Here on Live Impact News, we had breaking news that we followed through most of the evening regarding that active shooter situation in New York City. And we've been learning today the potential that this suspect here might have been trying to target the NFL office that is in that building there in Midtown East. Did Canales address that? How did he respond to that? I know that's a really tough headline to have to follow overnight and wake up to this morning.
Yeah, and Dave Canales said exactly that. He saw the headline this morning that this may have been a targeted attack on the NFL offices in New York City. So generally after a practice, Coach Canales does not make any sort of opening statement. He just starts taking questions. Well, today he asked to make an opening statement, and he did offer condolences, thoughts, and prayers to those he said were, quote, devastated by last night's events. Also mentioned the fact that there was a police officer shot and killed in that incident, and coupling that with the fact that it was a targeted attack on an NFL office. Now, there are 32 NFL offices all around the country, including here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I think everybody's radar is a little bit up. Working for the NFL, Commissioner Goodell did send an internal memo to all NFL employees saying that there would be extra security. I believe that those that work in the Park Avenue office were offered to work from home for at least a few more days this week, or even take today off. And the commissioner also reiterating the mental health resources that the league does provide its employees. So I think Canales also had, things to say about, listen, we're a traveling show. And so basically that indicates, the security to us is important. And he thanked the people that do look after the Carolina Panthers on a daily basis as well.
Yeah. Oh, man. So I know you always have kind of like a layout of what you bring to us throughout the evening. You kind of have it stacked out 4, 5, 6. Is that the case today? And if so, what are we looking at over the course of the evening? Yeah,
well, Danielle Stein will be live in Uptown, weather permitting, at 4 o'clock, and she's going to bring you some great sound from Trevan Wallace, that second-year linebacker I talked about. We're kind of past the scrap yesterday and really talking about Trevan's stepping into this role as a Panthers linebacker, which is, you talk about this position over the years in franchise history. The general manager, Dan Morgan, he was a great Panthers linebacker. Of course, the late Sam Mills was a great Panthers linebacker. And then Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson, guys that have been here in the last couple of years. Shaq Thompson let walk to the Bills this year. Kuechly's been retired for a handful of years. But these are guys that are communicating with Trevan Wallace on a daily basis about how he's progressing, answering any questions he may have. Luke Kuechly and Trevan Wallace had the same shoulder injury and same shoulder surgery. So Kuechly's been kind of guiding him through the rehab process with that. And it was very interesting to hear Trevan kind of talk about that connection to Panther linebackers past, and say that he and Luke even go to lunch quite often. And Shaq Thompson calls or texts him every single day. And I remember last year when Trevan was kind of thrust into a starting role unexpectedly as a mid-round pick in his first year when Shaq Thompson went down again, that Shaq called him right after his surgery and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to get you ready for this big responsibility. So I think it's a cool through line from Panthers linebackers past to now present, because these guys clearly think of Trevan as the next great Panthers linebacker. He's got some work to do in that regard, but he's showing some flashes of being really good.
Yeah, and it's always great to hear, stories of people uplifting each other and just, showing love and showing support. You always love to see that. That's just great, teamsmanship, I guess.
Yeah, and Panthers fans who love those guys, and Trevan Wallace has got a great personality, and he plays with his hair on fire in the field. I think they'll really connect with something like that connection, basically.
Yeah. Anything you want to leave us with before we wrap things up, Nick?
Listen, I think one guy that stood out to me is Cory Thornton, who's a rookie cornerback, undrafted out of Louisville. He's been on the field with the first-team defense a lot. He made another great play today. So I think we're going to start talking about that name a little more in the coming days, and we'll try to hopefully hear from Cory because, every training camp you get one of these players that kind of comes out, off of everybody's radar. Maybe wasn't drafted, maybe was unheralded, but if they can prove they can play at this level, they may have a spot on the team. So he's kind of that guy for me right now. We've talked a lot about the Hunter Renfrow story, and I think that will continue. But Cory Thornton is somebody I did want to put out there as somebody that's been very impressive as a younger player on this defense.
Well, that's great to hear. Certainly hoping for good things, and I know you'll keep us posted. And hey, you said it here right now. If we see it transpire, then we can roll back the film.
Yep.
Nick, thank you.
You got it.
We'll see you later.
Yep.